Hey guys, welcome to the fourth episode of Fearless Project. I am so excited to have you guys here, especially to let you know who our guest is for today. But just a quick run through with what is Fearless Project and what is this podcast. The Fearless Project podcast is about going deeper into the fears that hold us back from living our lives to the fullest. Often we feel so alone in our fears that we become overwhelmed. And in a world of mental health on the rise, this podcast exists to bring conversations to light on fears such as inadequacy. If we weren't here, would anyone notice? And will it get better? The podcast tells the stories of our guests' journeys. And with that, our episode topic of today is fear of the opinion of others. And my special guest today is Will Padilla. So, welcome to today's podcast. So excited to have you and just see you again. And I know that we know each other. I don't know if you want to go ahead and let everybody know how we know each other and just tell them a little bit.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Leslie. Excited to be here. Excited to be on your podcast. I love what you're doing. So honored to be on the show. So yeah, my name is Will Padilla, and Leslie and I know each other from Grin. So basically, we worked together at the same company. Leslie was a business development representative, and I was an AE, and we got to work together on a few different accounts. And Leslie was always very, very personable, kind, great to work with. And then we kind of found out we were Christians and we're like, oh, okay, another deeper level of connection that we can get. So we became really good friends and have followed each other on social media ever since. We've even left Grin. So it's great to see you again.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're on this podcast today, and I'm so glad that grid brought us together, and that I was able to just follow your journey as well. I'm sure we'll hear more about the projects you've done and the projects that you're still doing, but it's just such an honor to just know that our faith is what brought us together, and that we're
Hmm.
still able to be part of each other's lives and journey. So, with that, I also want everybody to just know a little bit about yourself. So, can you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Yes. So as I said, my name is Will, and I am from a suburb of Chicago, born and raised in Palatine, Illinois, and then I went out to University of Missouri in Columbia, was there for 4 years, and I got my degree in journalism. So it's a very tough school for journalism, and so I think it's, probably the number one public university. So I really wanted to go there for their journalism school, and did that, learned a lot about marketing, digital strategy, how to write, how to news write. But I was really, really broke. And so I couldn't really take the risk of getting paid $14, $15 an hour as a marketing assistant somewhere. And so it led me back to Chicago to live with my parents and then to take a sales job for a company that had offered me a job. Didn't end up too well, but I did ended up going to a different company that really helped me in my career. And then COVID happened. I ended up at Grin, and Grin is the tech company. It's influencer marketing. I was there for 4 years, and then have been out in Scottsdale, Arizona, the last 3 years, just loving life. I do a lot of social media for software sales, Christianity, personal development, and run my own podcast as well, the Sell That SaaS podcast, and really just am all about improvement in your life. And in my life, it's always about putting God first. And even though sometimes that's very difficult, it is always the goal of mine, right? So that's definitely always the forefront, and just excited to see what else this year brings.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I love that. I did not know that you had a degree in journalism, so that's pretty awesome too. And so we actually do an icebreaker on this podcast to every single guest that we have, and it's tell me about a time when something didn't happen how you wanted, but it worked out.
The journalism school. So I went to Mizzou, like, really, like, the only reason I went there was because of the journalism program. And I'm doing all my prereqs and everything, and it took me a long time to even get to that process. ended up missing the GPA requirement to get into the journalism school by like point two. Like you had to have a 3.5 to get in, which is pretty high. And so I was slightly under that. And they said, well, you can't get in, try again next year. Because it was basically like I was trying to get in the spring semester. They said no. And then I had to wait all the way until August to apply again. And basically, I had to take a semester of like kind of like not like nonsense classes, but just classes that were not aligned with journalism because I had to stay in the school. So I was like, well, if I can't get my GPA up, I have to switch to communications. And I didn't want to do that. But I said, hey, it's the reality. If I can't basically bring my GPA up, then I have to stay with communications and get a degree in communications. Um, Not only did you have to get a 3.5, but you had to write an essay of why you should be accepted into the journalism school. And that was being read by the board. And, by the grace of God, as we always say, I got in, and that really changed the trajectory of my college experience. It was something I was really passionate about. I had a lot of fun. I made a lot of really great connections, and I still am friends with a lot of my professors today and friends with my colleagues or classmates because the journalism school at Mizzou is like very tight knit, and I have so much like great memories of that, and it's really set me up for like my life of like, hey, if you want like if you want to work at this top company, or if you want to do this, or if you want to start your own business, like I know what it was like to do something that was a little bit more difficult in my eyes and kind of do it alone. In Missouri, I didn't have any, friends or family there, so I was just like making it happen, and it was a great experience.
Wow. Yeah. No, that sounds great. Yeah, to be out there and just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna see what happens and do my part and then just let, time tell what's gonna happen. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing
Hmm.
that. That's a great story. Um,
Yeah.
so going into the fear of the opinion of others, how would you describe this fear?
I think it's always worrying about if I do this, what will they say? And they could be your friends, your family, overall society, people you don't even know, but just like the opinion of others. And I think that prevents people from doing a lot of the things that they really want to do. And even like myself included, and I really overcame multiple situations out of that are now like it's it's really scary. And the thing I've learned is a lot of those fears are actually reality. Like when you do something that you feel like, well, what if they make fun of me? A lot of times they are going to make fun of you, and you are going to lose friends. And which I'm just telling people like I'm sorry to like burst everyone's bubbles, but like it's when you do something that you really want to do, like when I started creating content, when I started getting into like working out, when I started um just like becoming a Christian or any of these like really big life changes, like you do actually have a lot of people that do make fun of you and that do want to bring you down. And the reason is because when you go out and you step out in faith and you make a big change, people are scared because they don't have the courage to do it themselves. And because they want to bring you back down to their level, they'll try all different tactics, whether it's making fun of you, bringing you down, just hating on you in general. Um, Everything is going to be thrown at you. But it only, that stuff only works if you stop.
Mm.
If you step out, let the harassment get you to the point of breaking down, then you're going to go back to your old spot. And they're going to guess what happens when you go back. They're going to say, it's good to see you back. Like, that was never for you. Like, it's just, and it's like, wait a minute, didn't you just make fun of me for a while? And like, now we're like all buddy buddy. But when you keep pressing, you keep doing whatever it is, like when you keep going more into your Christianity, or, when you keep posting more on social media, or when you keep working out, or when you keep surrounding yourself with different crowds that are better positive influence on you. You start to weed all those people out, and they start to become so distant. And then you start to actually become successful in what you do if you really like partner with God, you put your best foot forward, you work hard,
Mhm.
then you're in this new category that the old crowd can't even say anything now. Like now it's legit. Like you are that new person.
Mm, that's so good. And I like that you did a few examples of of those moments, like you said, like your faith, stepping out in the faith, doing creating content, and then you mentioned the gym, and then you mentioned just those moments that like how you were able to do that. But I kind of call them like mind monsters, which is like just things that you were thinking about when that process was like when you were creating the content, when you were stepping out in faith. What were some of those like thoughts that would cross your mind while you were like, stepping into those moments, like, or maybe like maybe there was like a specific thought that like really laid a little bit heavier than other thoughts in order, and then like obviously like you having to push through it, but before that, before pushing through, what were some of the thoughts that would run through your mind?
Well, you just think about everything that could happen.
Mhm.
And oftentimes we go to the worst case scenario, right? It's always, but the thing is like, yeah, you'll meet some apprehension at first for sure, but like the outcome of it is so good. Like the outcome is always better because God always makes it better. That's what he promises is, if it's not good, he'll make it so. And obviously, we're going to go through trials as Christians. We're actually expected to go through trials. So when we do go through trials, the Bible in James it says, when any trials of any kind come your way, count it all joy,
Mhm.
right? And so it basically says, hey, when we're met with apprehension, in
Mhm.
a weird way, we should be joyful. It means that we're following God, and it means that we're stepping out in faith. And, like an example would be relationship, right? When you're dating someone and they're not good for you. And I've experienced this. And you're just staying because it's comfortable and you don't want to hurt that other person's feelings. But for you, it's not serving you. It's not serving God. It's not serving your, call it your true calling on life. You're just really settling. But you have the fear of stepping out and saying, I actually don't want this. And that fear of saying, I don't want this, but in your heart that you don't want it, sure, you will never have to cross that bridge. You won't ever be met with apprehension. However, I would strongly say that if your life is on easy mode, there's a good chance you're not following God. And if you are a listener and you're like, I don't follow God, well, just take it from my words that I don't really feel like life is designed to be. You shouldn't strive to seek comfort, even if you're not a believer, because when you seek comfort, you're seeking no change. And if nothing changes, nothing changes. It's a famous line. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And um, obviously if you're happy and nothing's bad and you don't want to make a change, don't make the change. But if you have a constant fear of stagnation, if you have a constant fear of staying put where you're at and it's not good for you and you stay there, you're willingly saying, I am okay with being completely stagnant in life. I don't want more. I don't need more. And I'm not going to help others in this life. I'm just going to be comfortable doing what I'm doing. And to me, as long as I'm comfortable and happy in my little world, that's enough. That's not really serving humanity. That's not really being a good community member, right? It's as people, we're designed to help each other.
Yeah, that's so good. I think you explained that so well about like how sometimes we feel like, okay, let's just stay in comfort because it's almost like, like you said before too, even in that relationship example of like how will she react to this, and it's like and I think oftentimes like the way that you described it is like often says we'll take that on and it's almost like our response, like we feel responsible for others and like for the way that other people might react. But I think I also would say that the way you approach things also has a lot to do with it. And I think that staying stagnant or staying in some place just because this is comfortable or just because it's been what it has been for so long, or the fear, like you would describe, like, the fear of the opinion of that person, especially if you care for them, can lay that heavy. And I think that that is something that definitely speaks to me, and I'm sure speaks to a lot of people that are listening. So kind of going into that, because like there's a difference between caring about what the opinions of those that you don't know, like the strangers, and then the opinions of the people that you do know, or that you develop a certain kind of friendship or relationship with. How would you, I guess, how would you handle those different types of opinions, and how do you prioritize, or how do you, in a sense, like, weave that into your life?
I mean, it's tough, right? Because it's like the people who you don't know, they're usually going to be the meanest because you don't owe anything to them. They don't owe anything to you. And they're going to say nasty things about you. Now, in this digital world, they could throw things online, make videos about you, make comments in your videos, text people behind your back. I mean, they could do a lot of different things. But the easy part about that is that those people you don't know, they don't really know you, and they're not paying your bills.
Mhm.
It's like if someone is involved in my life, sure, I'm gonna have to deal with that opinion and work that out. But if these people are distant, and you don't know them, and they're not family and they're not friends, it's like say whatever you want. Like it doesn't matter to me. Like I'm just going to cancel you out and if you keep continuing that, I'm just going to block you and avoid all situations with you because that's not healthy for me to be around you or to hear any of your negative talk. So those are easy, in my opinion, of just like quickly blocking and removing and removing yourself out of those friend groups and just, hey, that's not for me. I don't want to be around people who don't want to be around me. And then it becomes a little step further with your friends because you care about them and you actually do value what your friends say because they know you. Um, and I think what I will say is if it's a true friend, and what you're doing is bettering yourself and it's a positive thing, and you're not harming anyone, they should always support you in what you do. Always. If you're trying to better yourself, in my view is if you're not doing anything that's like evil, right? Like okay, your friend should definitely stop you if you're about to do something evil. But if you're doing something good and you're explaining that it's inherently good and why I'm trying to do it, and your friends make fun of you or they say you shouldn't do it, those are not your true friends. And the bigger risks and the bigger times you step out, the more that your true friends will be put to the test of like, are they actually a true friend? And the same thing goes with your family. Your family's a little different because they look at it as like they want to protect you from all decisions. And at first, like they won't get it when you make really big, risky decisions that are inherently good, not evil. And your family won't understand why you're doing it, but you just have to reassure them that, like, hey, you love me, I love you. I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z reason. It's and if it doesn't work out, well, I'm going to try, but I have to give this thing a shot because I believe in it and I have faith that I will actually be able to do X, Y, and Z. Um, your family may not understand it, but once you actually make a couple things and you actually do some of the things that you set out to do, they're going to start to get reassurance that, hey, we've seen this before. He or she is actually you know they're they wouldn't do something that's going to self-destruct or harm others. We're going to trust them, and it's going to be hard for them sometimes, but you just have to always reassure them that you've really thought about this and these are the reasons why you're doing it, and you'd love for them to be a part of it. But if they don't want to be a part of it, like that's okay. I'm not going to hold any animosity towards you, but definitely like having your family feel like they can be a part of it is a good thing because then your family can really see like why you're doing it.
Yeah. Wow, that's really good. Just out of curiosity, have you ever had those worlds collide? Like, as in, like, has there ever been like something you've done or a project you worked on that like not only is it like the strangers, but also like maybe the strangers are not gonna be involved. Sorry, maybe the friends and the family just don't understand and their opinions are attempting to get in the way of whatever you're gonna do or your project that you're gonna do. Have you ever had that happen where it's like everything is saying no and you're just like, okay, now, like, how did you and if you did, how did you, face that, and how did that look like?
Um, mm, that's a lot. I think when I quit my job after 3 months of graduation, that like my dad really, really wanted me to do, and my friends didn't understand why I would quit like a high paying job. And my dad was like, "Well, like that's what makes you successful is when you work. Like that's what makes you successful." And I was like, "No, like I'm just I'm, I'm miserable there. Like my life is miserable. Like I saw what the next 5 years would look like if I stayed. And it was a very sad sight. And I was like, no, I can't do this. And so like they didn't understand why I did it. And obviously now my dad, I've I've had so many wins to my belt, all glory to God, that when I say I'm going to do something, he doesn't even question it anymore. He's just like, I'm sure you've thought about this. I no, like, he's like, I'm sure you've thought about this. And same thing with like my mom really didn't care. Like when I quit my job, like she was supportive because she saw like how miserable I was. Like I was like drinking every night and like after work, and I was just like miserable, honestly. Um, and I had to get out of that situation, and I did, and that became my life became exponentially better. But yeah, I mean, like now it's like I'll say I'm gonna do something. Now, if it's again, if it's an evil act or it's something that's like not good for me or for someone else, like like really mean or something, like everyone, friends and family will say, stop that. You need to stop that. And I actually appreciate when people call me out because it's able to actually allow me to see, oh, wait a minute, they wouldn't call me out if I wasn't actually saying something that was so wrong. But now when I'm doing something right, or I'm like, hey, I know it may not be right in your eyes, but like here's the reasons why I want to do this. They always support me now. But yeah, I mean it's tough. Social media was one of those things where I started making videos online on TikTok and LinkedIn. Like my family and my true friends supported me, but like so many friends came out of the woodwork and made fun of me more than I've ever been made fun of in my life. I mean, saying the nastiest things, calling me a loser. I'd see like group chats behind my back of people making fun of me. And then what's crazy is you keep making content and then you hit a certain amount of followers and they look so stupid. Like everyone's like, yeah, remember when you're making fun of him? He's actually like a really cool guy to hang out with. And like, doesn't he have like XYZ followers? And I don't say that to brag, but it is funny when it's like they were the ones making fun of me. And it hurt, but I just never paid attention to it. I said, hey, I'm just gonna keep doing my thing. I don't believe what I'm doing is promoting anything evil or bad in this world. I'm gonna keep doing it, and got blessed with a good following, and I enjoy content creation. I enjoy helping people in sales and in life.
Yeah, that's so good. So what I'm hearing is that like, there's that moment in life where like you're kind of in a crossroad of just like, okay, I hear all of this like commentaries and opinions, but I think what you mentioned was like that anchor was like, is this harming others or is this benefiting others? And is this good? And if it's good, then despite what I'm hearing, I'm going to push forward. And then you facing those like commentaries and even from supposed friends, which honestly I think a lot of listeners can relate to that, where it's like sometimes it's coming from the people that are actually close to you, and you're like,
Mm.
wait a minute, like you know me. Why would you say something like this? Why would you um make me feel this way? Why would you like bring me down instead of elevate me or bring me up? And I think that I'm sure that speaks to a lot of listeners, including myself, which is, like sometimes it'll come from the people that you at least expected. And then what I'm hearing from you is that, you took that and you said, okay, clearly these were not the voices that I needed to listen to. and you set them aside and you put priority to the people that were encouraging. And even then, just the fact that what you were doing was something that was going to be good and beneficial to others. That's what I'm hearing from just from your story. Let's just say there's a listener on the other side. Um, and they're going through something, and they're at this, like, they're at the crossroad, right? And they're kind of trying to motivate themselves to push forward. How would you speak to that person that is trying to push forward a dream where no one sees the dream coming to reality, in a sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's one of those things where if you really do step out in faith and you really go for it, if you can just get past of the opinion of others and you can accept the fact that those people's opinions are not going to influence you not doing what you want to do, you have a good chance of succeeding at what you're doing. You really do. It's oftentimes that people stop because of the opinions of others on most things they do in life. Or maybe they start and they quit because there's just too much noise and they can't handle it. So you have to just get real comfortable with the fact that what you're doing, the opinion of others is not going to stop you.
Yeah, that's good. And then, so I know we talked about the lie. We talked about the journey. How would you describe the truth of this?
The truth is that um, you. The truth is that you can do things, big things on your own, but you can do supernatural things with God. Like the places that God can put you are infinitely higher and infinitely better than anything that you can do on your own. And if you're not a believer, like trust me, you'll still be able to do some really cool things. Because but when I was doing a lot of these things, like I wasn't trusting in God. I was just doing it myself, and I still did a lot of really great things. But the more successful I got was when I was partnering with God. And now I'm at like different levels that I didn't ask for. I didn't say, "Hey, I want this to be this certain thing." He just put me here, and he keeps pushing me towards new things and bigger things and hanging around different people and like just successful people I never would imagine doing, right? But when we try and do it on our own, sure, we'll probably have some nice wins, but it's nothing that could compare. Like truly, it's nothing that could compare to when you ask God to help you in what you want to do. It's just leaps and bounds ahead.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that, like, also just reassured me in, like, having you as a guest, because, like, obviously the listeners don't know you, but, like, something that I was able to experience through our interactions was just that you were always so kind. You were always willing to help out, and you were just always very humble about even your wins, and always even, like, bringing the other people that did help you and were part of that success, you always would bring them in. And I think that that was something that spoke very high volumes of you. And I do believe that you having that humility came from being a believer. And I can say that just because even in your Instagram and just like and everything, you always put God first. And that's something that for me like really did speak high, because even though I didn't before meeting you in person, um I was like, this guy is literally putting the honor and glory in someone else and not in himself. So that was that was just really great to just see and witness. Thank you so much, Will, for being on this podcast. Just wanted to ask, what upcoming project are you excited about? And then how can people follow you and your journey?
Yeah, thank you. I have a lot of exciting projects I'm working on that are coming up. One of them is as if anyone is in the Scottsdale area, or maybe you're so crazy enough that you want to fly out to meet me and two other tech creators named Morgan Ingram and Tom Slocum. We're hosting a tech social hour on Tuesday or Thursday, August 22nd, in Scottsdale, Arizona, in Old Town Scottsdale. And last time we had over 150 people show up, and we just network about tech. Um, all me, Tom, and Morgan are all believers. So we're Christians, and so you can come. We don't have to just talk about tech. We can talk about your faith. We can talk about whatever you want. So like, if you're listening and you're like, I'm looking for something cool to do, and I've never been to Arizona. It'd be an awesome 4-day trip to fly in Thursday morning, stay till Sunday. We'll kick it with you, but you come to our event on Thursday evening from 6 to 9.
That's
And then
amazing.
yeah, and that's in person. And then my podcast I run is called the Sell That SaaS podcast. So just doing a lot more with that. And then running my TikTok account, Sell That SaaS, and LinkedIn too. But yeah, those are the things I'm up to.
Yeah, this is awesome. I love that. I love that you're having an in-person like
Yeah.
meetup. This is great. Look at you. That's incredible. So once again, thank you so much for being on this podcast. And before we end, I just want to tell everybody that in order to become free from the lies, you first must recognize them, bring them to light, and then replace them with the truth. It is a journey, but to begin, you must start. And so just want to thank Will for being on this podcast. I want to also just give honor for our videographer who's not here today, obviously, but JB has always just been such a great asset to this team for Fearless Project. So just wanted to shout him out. And other than that, until next time, until our next
Shout
episode.
out. Shout out JB. Thank you, Leslie.
No problem.